Here's what 100 euros got us in this week's Spanish online shop. From Heinz beans to Catalan fuet. And stick around because at the end, I'll share how I split my shops between Caprabo, Lidl, Mercadona and local markets to get the best value every week. We're a British family living in Catalunya and this is our Caprabo delivery, or if you're saying it correctly, Caprabo. I'll show you everything we've bought, how the prices compare with the UK, and where I'd shop instead if I wanted to cut down this total by around 20 to 30 euros. So hit follow, save this video and let's get into it. First up, fresh milk. This is a litre, which costs €2.20. Now in the UK it would be about £1.20, so definitely more expensive. The Spanish don't tend to drink as much fresh milk, but we still like it for tea, coffee and cereal. I have also got some of the pasteurised whole milk for the kids. It's great to put in their school bags. And for 6 200ml cartons, that's €2.29, which would be about £2.70 if you bought it from a UK supermarket. I've got a pack of whole oats, that's 500 grams, and that cost me €1.99. Now I reckon if you got an own brand, Caprabo don't seem to do it, then you could get it for cheaper. And in the UK, this would probably cost you about £1.50. Packet of tortilla wraps, there's 8 in here, standard kind of size. They're €1.01, bit of a random price. And in the UK, that normally costs you about £1.50, so a bit of a win here. Heinz baked beans, this is probably the only, or one of the only British products that we still buy. And these cost €2.80, which is quite a lot. In the UK, you probably pay about £1.50 for the same. Teriyaki sauce, I like to do chicken fried rice every now and again with leftover chicken. This is €5.99, so not cheap. In the UK, you probably pay about £2.50. And then last of the cupboard basics, we've got an own brand pack of really, really plain crisps. These were €1.30, which will probably be about £1.80 in the UK. But you can't beat Walker's salt and vinegar or sweet chilli sensations. So overall for the cupboard basics, the wraps and the crisps were the best value. But the teriyaki, I think that's what I'm going to have to replace with a Mercadona own brand next time. Caprabo is great for brands, but if you're after the basics, then Lidl wins. Okay, onto dairy and cheese. So I've got 2 types of cheese this week. I've got grated and cheese slices, both own brand. So the grated cheese is €1.62 for 200 grams. That will be about £2 in the UK. And then for the cheese slices, they were €1.29, which would be about £1.80 in the UK. I also ordered some mozzarella, but that didn't come. That would have been 97 cents just for a really basic ball of mozzarella cheese, own brand, which in the UK would be about 85p, very, very similar. I also ordered a tub of natural Greek yogurt, 900 grams, quite a big tub. That's €3.85, and that's going to cost you about £4.50 in the UK. A block of butter, 250 grams, costs €2.30. In the UK, that's going to be about £2.50 to £3, so a bit cheaper here. And then we go through a lot of eggs. So I've got 2 dozen, 2 packets of these. And these are €2.95 a pack, which in the UK would be about £2.50. So everything in the dairy and cheese section came in cheaper in Spain in comparison to their UK equivalents. And the quality is spot on. Mercadona's butter and yogurt will also generally be cheaper. Okay, so moving on to fresh fruit and veg now. I've got half a kilo of courgettes, which came in at 93 cents. In the UK, that would cost you about £1. I've got a cucumber, which is the same kind that we'd get in the UK. So it's obviously not a Spanish cucumber. In Spain, they call it a pepino holandés, which is a Dutch cucumber. This costs €1.37. And in the UK, this would be about 80p. I've got a kilo of carrots that cost €1.15, which would be about 90p back in the UK. And I've got just over 2 kilos of potatoes. I love a jacket potato. These were €4.44, which back in the UK would be about £2. And finally, I've got a bag of salad leaves for €1, which would be about £1 in the UK. So this is where Caprabo starts creeping up, especially on the heavier items like potatoes. You'll save a fortune buying these type of items from your local markets or fruterias. Okay, so moving on to meat and charcuterie. I have got some chicken thighs here, about 600 grams. And they've got the skin on, and they are boneless, although they do sometimes have some little bits of bone or gristle in them still. So you do have to chop that out either before or after you cook it. I tend to do it before. So this particular pack was €3.56, which will probably cost you about £3.50. I did also order a whole chicken and some minced beef, but because it's literally just after the Easter weekend, they didn't come, they didn't have it. They were faltas, which means that they didn't have it. They didn't offer any substitutions this time. So a whole chicken, like 1.6 kilos, would cost about €6.30, whereas in the UK it'd be about £4.75. And then the beef mince, which is normally like half a kilo, €6.39, which would be like £3.50 in the UK. I've got some sliced ham, or as they call it in Spain, jamón dulce, for like the kids' sandwiches and things like that, omelettes. These are €1.95 for a pack of 125 grams. That will probably be about £2 in the UK. And then one of my absolute favourites that I cannot live without since we moved to Catalunya is fouet. It's a bit like salami. I don't want to taint it because it is very, very special. 2 sticks of fouet here cost me €4.95. And obviously if you were going to buy it in the UK, it'd be imported, so it might be £4.50 to £6. So again, this is where Caprabo tends to be a bit pricier on the meat, especially with the beef mince. Then on the bread front, I've got some sourdough. In Spain, it's called pan de masa madre, just in case you wanted to know. And that costs €1.75. In the UK, it's probably going to be about £2.20. And then I got a super basic loaf of white bread, which was €1.18, which you're going to pay about £1.20 for in the UK. So the sourdough was a bit of a win. That would definitely be more expensive in the UK. Now, in terms of drinks, we really struggle to get squash here. My son really likes squash, but unless we go to like a specialist shop in Sitges or in Barcelona, we can't get it. So we've tried to find alternatives. And I mean, it's great because it means less sugar, right? So we use this one, which is 0. So it's like a ready-made squash, and actually we dilute it even further. In fact, I've just checked the label. It literally has 0 sugar in it. So that is a win to move from sugar-loaded squash in the UK like Robinson's to something like this. This is €1.99 a bottle. Now for a bottle of squash, if we're talking about pure value, a bottle of squash is going to be about £1.50, and of course you get a lot more servings from it. We really like these Schweppes cans. Again, they're 0. You can get them in citrus, which is like grapefruit, orange or lemon. And these are just over €1 a can when they're not on offer. And obviously in Spain, you don't have to buy an 8-pack. You can buy as little or as many as you want, which is amazing. My guilty pleasure are Diet Coke, or as you call it in Spain, Cola Light, which are 92 cents a pack in comparison with about 70p in the UK. And this is the orange bottle version of the Schweppes 0, which are just over €1 a bottle. In the UK, that's going to be about £1.20. And then finally, we always buy lots of bottled water. So this is an 8-litre bottle, own brand, and that is 92 cents. We buy 4 or 5 of those a week and use them for making tea and coffee, for cooking, so that it doesn't absolutely ruin the kettle. And in the UK, they'd probably be more like £1.50 to £2. So the cans are definitely going to be cheaper at Lidl or Mercadona. And for that, the UK prices are going to beat Spain here as well. But the bottled water, for that kind of size, Spain wins. Finally, we didn't need many toiletries today. I just got 1 tube of toothpaste, which in Spain you call colgate. That was €2.90 compared to £2.50 in the UK, so very similar. We also got a couple of freebies. We got 2 ready-made cartons of Colacao with 0% added sugar. There's still 5 grams per 100 mils, so I'm not 100% convinced. But the kids can have these as a treat one day. But you've got to love a random freebie, right? So the total cost of this shop was €100 and 91 cents, which is around about £86. That got us a full week of food, drinks, fridge staples, toiletries and snacks. Not bad. However, where can we save money? Would this have been cheaper at Mercadona? Yes, definitely. Or Lidl. You'd save 10 to 15 euros just on the drinks, meats and crisps alone. But if you want real savings, then buy your fruit, veg, bread and meat at local markets. They beat everybody. So what is our ultimate shopping strategy? Caprabo for delivery and UK brands, Mercadona and Lidl for weekly staples, the local market for fresh food. It's cheaper and it lasts longer. And that combo would save us at least €25 a week. in comparison to doing everything in one place. Do you want me to film a Lidl or a Mercadona haul next week? Comment below which one and I'll show you how it compares line by line. And if you're planning on moving to Spain or just want a clear picture of the cost of living, follow, save this or subscribe for more real life breakdowns every week.